There it is. Hello, hello, hello. Sorry, I had mute on. DM Geezer Jim here to continue reading through the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide. Quick short section here called Mobs. M-O-B-S. As usual, we're going to read first and talk about what we read for a minute or two or three or four afterwards. But thanks for hanging out. Sorry about that camera tap. Oh, I made it worse. Fuck it. You're looking at the book, hopefully not me. This is not mobile objects. This is groups, large clusters of stuff. This is a little bit more mechanics, a little more nuts and bolts, a little bit more stuff that has been homebrewed. Adjustments to what we normally would run in combat to make larger groups of stuff go smooth. So, let's read instead of listen to me talk about what it is. This section can help you speed up play when resolving outcomes with large groups of monsters, also known as mobs. Tips. Follow these tips to smooth a combat. I'm trying, Cat. You're making me bounce off the table. Sorry. Tips. Follow these tips to smooth a combat encounter with a large number of monsters. Damage. Use the average damage specified in a monster's stat block. Remember we discussed earlier that number next to the D is the average damage. Hit points. If a spell or attack reduces a monster to a handful of hit points, assume the monster is killed or otherwise taken out of a fight. Monster mobs. Divide a large number of identical monsters into smaller mobs and spread their turns out between the characters' turns. Mobs of 5 to 8 identical creatures work well, but don't have more mobs than there are characters. Average results. Whenever you would otherwise make a number of D20 tests for identical monsters, the mob result table can help you determine the number of successful D20 tests that the monsters get without having to roll dice. Follow these steps. Step 1. Determine the minimum D20 roll the monsters need to succeed on the D20 test using the following formula. The roll needed will be equal to the target number minus the monster's bonus. Step 2. Find the roll needed on the monster result table. If all the monsters have advantage on the roll, for example, they all attack and have the pack tactics trait, or they're all making a saving throw against a spell and have the magic resistance trait, find the roll needed in the with advantage column. Likewise, if they have disadvantage, for example, they're attacking a creature protected by blur, use with disadvantage, otherwise use the normal column. So, step 3 is read across the table to find a fractional number of successes you can easily apply to the group of monsters. That's the fraction of monsters that succeed on a D20 test. So, before we get into the table, the idea here is we are trying to find a quick and dirty average. If 8 things try to hit a guy with an armor class of 20 and they have a +3 to hit, 20 minus +3 is 17, which becomes our roll needed. So then we're going to look at our roll needed on this column. This is going to be hard if you're an audiobook because this is a pretty dense table. I recommend you take a look at this table on your own when you have some time. There's not a bunch I can do to describe a 20-row column table, but I could give you a couple examples. Okay, so continuing forward with what we did here. Apologies for the commentary. I just want to explain this before we go farther. So we have 8 creatures attacking our fighter with an armor class of 20. These creatures have a +3 to hit. They're kind of wimpy creatures, but there are 8 of them. 20 is the target number minus 3, which is the monster's bonus, gives us a roll needed of 17. We're going to roll down this column and look for the number that we need. The normal roll of 17 is on the far left of the column. So out of 4 creatures, 1 in 4 would hit. Out of 5, 1 in 5 would hit. But because we're using 8 creatures, 2 of the 8 creatures would automatically hit. I would not need to roll the dice. I would quickly do the math for each of the characters, knowing the size of the mobs, and then roll. Or not even roll, make the choice. Again, apologies for the midstream commentary. Number 1, if you use this average results, you have to have this table on access at all times, because your mob of 8 will become a mob of 6, will become a mob of 4, will become a mob of 1. Eventually, a group of creatures is going to be whittled down, so you need to be able to scale through the number of successes based on the count of the creatures in the group. Obviously, there's nothing under 3 because you should just go ahead and roll those dice at that point. So keep that in mind when you're using average results. And then, so out of the 8 on a 17, 2 of the 8 would hit, and if their average damage was 4, the character would take 8 points of damage. 2 times 4 is 8, and then my round with that mob is over. Not hard as long as you have access to the table. So let's continue reading. Sorry about that. Adjudicating areas of effect. When the characters are fighting a large number of monsters, it's not always practical to use miniatures on a battle grid or some other visual aid. So how do you determine how many monsters are affected by the wizard's fireball spell or some other area of effect? The Targets in Area of Effect table offers a guideline. To use this table, find the columns for the shape of the area, then read down until you find its size. Then check the rightmost column to see about how many creatures are caught in the area. If you imagine the targets are spread out, decrease the number by 1d3. If they're bunched up, you can increase the number by 1d3. Of course, an area can't encompass more creatures than are present in an encounter. Your judgment always outweighs these guidelines, and it's fine to err on the side of affecting more creatures. For example, if 8 zombies are crowded around a fighter when the bard centers a shatter spell on the fighter's space, the spell's area should definitely engulf all 8 zombies, even though according to the table, a 10-foot radius sphere includes only 3 creatures. So let's take a look at the table. It's kind of not as thick, but let me explain the table. As was advertised, the left column is a cone, the middle column is a cube, the right column is circular, the next column to the right is a line, describing the area and shape of your spell. Going down this column shows you the different sizes, a 10-foot cone down to a 60-foot cone, a 50-foot cube, a 30-foot radius. Lines go out to 120 feet long and 10 foot wide is as big as they get. And it's going to tell you the number of targets that could fit in that area, okay? This is not going to apply as much when you're using battle maps, theater minis, and VTTs, but this will happen a lot in your theater of mind situations when you're describing dozens and dozens of goblins descend down the pass as the landslide fades away and the wall falls, the gate falls after the crumbling stone. Dozens of goblins crawl and clamber over the ruined wall and begin pouring through the gap. And your wizard says, I cast Fireball. You don't have a battle map set up at that point to have 20, 30 goblins clambering over each other. So that's what this table is going to help you with. And that's kind of it. Quick ways to determine how many people are hit. As always, the thing here is well, let's get into some examples and I'll get back into commentary. Sorry. The following scenario shows examples of how you as the DM can apply the guidelines described in the rest of this section. 8 zombies surround and attack a fighter. The zombies' attack bonus is +3 and the fighter's AC is... So I did my shit too early. So sorry. And the fighter's AC is 18. So the roll needed is 15. 18 minus 3, finding 15 in the normal column. We'll scroll up here to 15 in the normal. And reading it across to the out of 8 column, the DM gets a result of 2 out of 8. 2 of the zombies hit. Using the zombies' average damage for bludgeoning, the fighter takes 8 bludgeoning, exactly what we did. After seeing the fighter mauled by the zombies, the bard casts Shatter, centering on the spell on the fighter. The bard trusts that the fighter will succeed on the con saving throw and survive the resulting damage. Zombies have just as much... but whatever. The spell affects a 10-foot radius sphere, and the target in the area effect table suggests that such an area should encompass 3 zombies. However, the DM decides that all 8 zombies are affected. The zombie's constitution saving throw is +3, and the bard saving throw is 16, so the roll needed is 13. On the same table, we're going to find 13 on the normal column and read to the out of 8. And the DM gets a result of 3 out of 8. So 3 of the 8 zombies succeed on the savings throw. Seeing a larger crowd of zombies in the distance, the wizard casts Fireball. The spell covers a 20-foot radius sphere. The target in an area of effect table suggests that the area covers 10 zombies, but the DM rolls that they're densely packed together and adds 1d3, rolling a 2. So the spell engulfs 12 zombies in the area. The zombie's dexterity saving throw modifier is -2, and this wizard save is 16, so the roll need is 18. Remember, we got to do math once in a while. 16 minus -2 is, in fact, 18. Finding 18 in the normal column and reading it out to a column of 6, the result is 1 of 6. 12 times 1 in 6 is 2, so 12 zombies. So 2 of the 12 zombies succeed on the save. Math, 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 math. Okay, a little bit more commentary. If you're going to use these systems or any systems such as this, if you want to make your own tables up, whatever you want to do, make sure the math is consistent with what the players are doing. Make sure you're not giving the players too much of advantage or disadvantage. It's okay to err on the side of the players, however, when in doubt, because the idea that you're throwing a horde of 20 zombies at them so they can have a Walking Dead moment of just hacking through them, you're expecting the players to just tear through this mob of creatures. So don't get so particular with everything to stack the numbers that you're using in the creature's favor. These tables do favor the players, not the creatures. Understand that before you go, okay? If it's an important battle, roll for each creature. If your players aren't sure the math is solid with this table or another table, let them know that, hey, I'll roll for every creature, but it's going to slow the game down. But no matter what, this large mobs of creatures will slow your game down just a little bit. These are some tips and tools that you can use. These are some examples of math formulas that you can use to help you save yourself some time and some die rolling. But understand that die rolling is part of the fun. You want to roll as dice as DMs as well. So use large mobs of creatures sparingly. A lot of times in a battle situation, an epic battle, you guys are playing the Helm's Deep type scenario, and just hundreds of bad guys are coming through. You want your players to be able to obliterate chunks of bad guys, and these rules can help you with that. But again, use them sparingly and use them consistently. There's a lot of other guides out there that you can find for 5th edition, 2014, some third-party supplements, and certainly if you don't mind going back to 3rd edition Heroes of Battle, can give you a lot more information for mass unit combat. But even that's still translating math to math, so this is not a bad system to start with till you find a better way. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate your time. This section's done. The next one is non-player characters. I'm expecting that one to run a little bit long. There's a lot of tables talking about how to name your dudes and how to give them various backgrounds and So we're going to get into that next. But thank you so much for your time on this one. Likes, follows, subscribes are appreciated. Feel free to leave questions or concerns in the comments. I try to keep up with those. And as always, join us over on Twitch if you want to join a live chat. Tuesdays through Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. The name's DM Geezer Jim. See you soon.